Good afternoon. Thank you very much for turning up on this glorious day. I'm really pleased to be with Megan. And Megan's quite recently joined Maven when previously she was running all marketing operations globally for General Motors. And we're going to come back to this theme of startup and turnaround and what General Motors have been doing, as a large business and then forming this new really exciting business. But as a context to that, we just wanted to talk a little bit about what that means and why they're doing it, which is about how to thrive in a digital economy and how do you meet the needs of transformation. And it's really important to us as a business because our vision is to innovate the way brands are built. And that means, as Dan said, what we're really thinking about is how do we do things differently, better for our clients' brands. So implicitly and explicitly, everything we try to do is think about how do we constantly innovate for those brands. And that's going to be really important over the next few years because everybody, and it's now Thursday, so you've probably heard the term digital economy about 4,738 times. Right? And everyone's got a different sort of view about it, and everyone gets really obsessed about the different technologies. And there are going to be some amazing technologies, obviously like VR and AI and machine learning and all these sorts of things. I like to really think about the fact that what we have in the digital economy is a demand-led economy. It's led by people, real people. And if you think of yourselves, you think of what an Uber is. It really is a demand-side audience and a supply-side audience with a bit of software that brings them together. If you think of what Google is, it really is just meeting the needs of people every single day. YouTube is about meeting the needs of people wherever they want and get that content from wherever it is in the world with no barriers and no friction. But the thing is, these new technologies here, on the one side I call them front-end technologies because they're transforming not only people's experiences, but they're going to transform people's expectations. And on the back end, these things that people can't see, because these are very visceral, you can see them. These you can't see. Machine learning, AI, and all those things, that people won't really see it. But what it will mean is the friction will get less and less, and people will expectations will rise to become almost instant, and that things will happen almost instantly. And if you think of, and again in the demand side economy, last year was a 7-minute economy, because 7 minutes for Uber, that's okay. This year it's a 5-minute economy, and where it'll go. So that is a huge impact, on people's lives, and therefore huge impact on brands. And everything's going to become more immersive. It's going to become more real time. What we always do, especially in our kind of industry, we always overestimate the short-term impact of things and underestimate the long-term consequences. It's one of those great cliches. It's a great cliche because it's true. And kind of linked into what Megan's going to be talking about, I just thought I'd have a bit of fun and play you this bit of video.
Hello?
I'm in a bar here now, down in the 4th sector. Why don't you come on down here and have a drink?
That's not my kind of place.
So, I haven't got a spade or a sandal, or you might have. What year was Blade Runner made in? Any guesses? 85. There's an 85. 1982. 1982. And did you see that first frame? And it was set in 1919. So in 1982, making a science fiction film, at about 1919, 3 years away, flying cars, no problem, right? You've got flying cars zooming everywhere. However, you have to take that flying car, come down, you have to get out of the car, you have to go into the bar to a phone booth to make a video call. Because clearly, a personal device where you can make a video call, that would be far too science fiction-y. Okay? But when you actually think about it, that's much more easy to integrate into life, into people's behaviour than flying cars, where how are we going to legislate for those? And you can just think of what we're having to think of to address how do we regulate for autonomous vehicles and autonomous driving, and think about flying cars and where that might be. So flying cars, no, but video calls, are absolutely an integral part of our lives. What will it be in 2020? We don't exactly know, but it is going to be quite a big shift, I think. And so the key thing, and I think this is an absolutely great quote, to forecast change, apply the understanding that human nature, that geniuses often lack. Right? But it is about really understanding people, it's about getting close to people, and it's about being flexible, it's about being agile in response to them. Which is why, we're driven quite a lot by, and I'd like you to really think about this thought of, if you're not a startup, you're a turnaround. Because we're obsessed by startup culture. Right? Again, because what startup culture has brought is it's brought that agility, nimbleness, the ability to pivot. But actually, that's great. But if you are Procter & Gamble or Unilever or Mondelez or General Motors, and you've got hundreds of thousands of people, billions of dollars of capital, and you've got really long-term processes, how do you actually get the energy? How do you get the drive to adapt to this environment around, right, when you've got all that? And actually, it's actually taking some of that spirit of a startup, which in terms of a turnaround, of how are you actually keeping that constant commitment, that constant energy? And what is amazing about General Motors, and I'll say this before I hand over to Megan, is, of course, General Motors went into bankruptcy, and today, 6 or 7 years later, is a very, very vibrant business in its core business. But what it's also doing is it's really experimenting and it's really pushing into a startup culture and a startup way of doing business. And for that, I'm going to hand over to Megan, who's going to talk to you a little bit about Maven and what that means. Megan.
Thank you, Nigel. Good afternoon. It's great to be here. I actually feel like I'm at home in Australia on the beach. I think I'd rather be maybe down there having my toes in the sand afterwards. It's pretty hot up here. Thanks for having us. Thanks for coming. And I think, like every industry, the automotive industry is being transformed and disrupted by technology. And I like to say making what is unimaginable a close reality. And in the automotive industry, I think I've never had so many dinner party conversations with people who aren't really, they say, into cars, wanting to know about all the initiatives and things that General Motors and the industry are faced and how they're being challenged. And so no doubt we talk about the fact that in the next 5 years we're probably going to see more change than in the last 50. And GM, as part of its turnaround and its drive to really leap, not creep, is making some very strategic initiatives to ensure that we're at the forefront of this transformation. And so everything from the investments we've made in Sidecar and Lyft and Cruise and Bolt to now Maven. And so Maven is a startup. I've just started with them. And in 4 months, if you think about this, with inside GM, we've launched a new company, we've launched a new brand, we've launched 3 product services. We're seeing utilization rates that are probably what we would expect of a 4-year-old company in this space. We've got 1 million miles on the road, and we're serving over 5,000 residents. So in a very short time, you can see that a startup mentality within GM is really turning things around. So talk a little bit about what Maven is, and we see our vision as enabling people to connect freely. And so as a personalized mobility service, we're not a product, we're a service. We take the mobile device. We are powered by OnStar, which has 20 years of technology experience. We've had over 1 billion pushes of the blue button, and we connect these together to provide keyless access. And so right now we have 3 products. We have what we call our city product. We have a residential product. We have an express drive product. We're in 5 cities. We're rolling out across the US, and we have obviously some innovation and some test beds on our campuses where we're looking at from Sao Paulo to Warren, where I am, in our startup office, to China, and even Rüsselsheim, where we're testing new sorts of mobility services that ultimately can live under our mobility platform of Maven. We're really, as Nigel said, trying to remove these friction points that exist. So we have no membership fee, no membership number, you don't pay for gas, maintenance, insurance. So really this seamless experience that removes those friction points that exist. And then we're also looking at how we test and learn as we roll out in the market, and so getting close to those customers. So if you're in Chicago, obviously the weather is probably something you deal with in your mobility needs every day. So we've partnered with a on-demand valet service called Zerx, whereby you can actually have your Maven experience door-to-door. In New York, for our residential platform and service, we've partnered with Icon parking in over 150 buildings. So you have free parking, which for New York, of course, is a big deal. And so this whole simple, smart, seamless, as a vision that really stems from this changing urban landscape and needs of the fact that 50% of the world's population are now living in cities. And our research would show us that we really are seeing this shift from ownership to sharing, and whether that's obviously in the vehicle space, but it's true of the whole sharing economy. And this year we see car sharing subscribers at about 1.6 million, and we expect that to grow to over 26 million in the next 4 years, so pretty significant growth. We also see that over 70% of people say that they have troubles parking on a daily basis, and we can calculate that probably 30% of gas is wasted trying to find a car park. And so this service really, again, overcomes and makes frictionless a lot of those issues. We have a residential product where we're partnering with residential buildings that this becomes part of the amenities offered. And where once it used to be an exercise bike and a fitness centre, the amenities races on in these high-end residences, whereby these services from dog washers to vehicles as part of the experience is almost expected. We know that they're putting in, I think in the US, new developments under half a car space per residence. And so there's not even really enough for everybody to have a vehicle. And so Maven as a service then provides a great platform into addressing those needs. And then how we're going to market. Dentsu Aegis Network is our partner, and we're thrilled at our really, really put the customer at the center approach to how we are a startup. We are not a big brand, and so we really are forming this brand from getting really, really close to our target. And we've identified this millennial target and tapping into this insight that, in fact, social doesn't actually make you feel more connected. You might think you're more connected, but in fact, there is this desire and real drive that millennials really want to be part of the experience. And so to be truly connected, you really need to be there. And so we're finding our Mavens, and so there's obviously relevance to the Maven brand, in that Mavens are experts and connoisseurs, and they are the insiders on where you should be. And so we're shaping their stories. We're using Maven for them to tell their experiences, and we're documenting those and then sharing it through social platforms and the digital space. And so I think, going back to your first point, the fact that within GM you can be part of a turnaround and a startup, and this sort of focus on obviously the core business fueling this new space, but really it's about how we're going to lead in miles driven. Maybe not necessarily just about how many cars are sold and purchased, but how do we really change that currency, or how do we look at miles driven as really what we should be focused on even as a measurement.
Yeah, that's right. So I think we've got time for a couple of questions. So if has anyone got a question, I'm going to ask one quickly, which is on a culture point. You were very specific there that Maven's a service. I remember when I went to live in the US, GM is the manufacturing brand. So how's it, what are the challenges in starting a service inside a big manufacturing organization?
So,
culturally?
Well, and obviously the product is our app. And so as we then look at that as that seamless experience and really putting the customer at the center to really define, doesn't matter whether it's peer-to-peer or car sharing, or it's about providing that personalized experience that at this level we can personalize in so many different ways. And so there's 50 people on our team. We have recruited great people from we've got some people from Google. We've got we've got people from the acquisitions, and then with people who know how to get it done within GM.
Right, very cool. Anyone got any questions? So the question was, how are we going to scale it internationally, different markets?
And again, I think this is where GM scale, you can really turn to our advantage. GM has brands from Chevrolet to Cadillac in over 140 countries, and so the urbanization is something that plays true in every pretty much big city. And so our approach, and we also know from our millennial research that these beta blazers and trend netters also are consistent in their desires and around the world. And so OnStar really is a technology enabler. Our portfolio then and our scale of everything from a compact car to an electric vehicle to an SUV. And we say we approach it sort of as globally. So Maven will be the global brand. And I think these insights and the strategy is global, but then it's executed locally.
Cool. Autonomous, good or bad?
Autonomous is going to be fantastic, and I think definitely as part of the the offerings that and what General Motors is racing towards is all of those building blocks that will bring that to market.
Okay, cool.
So part of being a startup is failing, right? And at Google, we always say fail forward. How are you structuring Maven to enable you to demonstrate that behavior and make a mistake or two? And ultimately, then, what does success look like in the near term?
So I think it's a great question, and you've got to know how you're failing. So we're measuring everything. We're using data to pretty much on a daily basis look at how we're tracking. And the beauty, obviously, is that we're small now. Every dollar has to be working and hard for us. And so we're making daily decisions about how we change our plans, how we go to market, what messaging we're giving, what platforms we're using. So the first one of the first days I was there, somebody from GM, I said, where's this report? And they said, we're going to do it on a monthly basis. I said, no, we need it on a daily basis.
You've answered my question right there.
Yeah, perfect. Megan, thank you so much. Thank you for coming along. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you.